what's a good brake temperature delta front to back? There is none. And the reason I say that, because the front is always going to run really hot. On my cars, we're running like 1200 degrees front rotor temperature max, and the back all depends on a number of things. Number one, the suspension geometry. If you're running just a stock Mustang suspension, the delta is going to be really, really, really wide, really big, because you're not using, the back of the car jacks up under braking. You're not using rear brakes very much. If you've got my rear grip kit in the back, we change the geometry, put a lot of anti-lift into it, so the back of the car doesn't want to pop up as much, which means you're using more rear brake, which means the temperature go up. Now, a long time ago, we were doing like some development work with the rear brakes. And I don't have these numbers exactly. I'll just kind of give you a range because it's been a long time since we did this. But with the rear grip kit, we're seeing like in a stock rear rotor, we're seeing brake temperatures like in, let's say, like the 500 range, 500, 600 range. When we went to our upgrade kit, which is a 14-inch two-piece slotted rotor, that's a really good way to improve your rear braking. Is with a 14-inch slotted rotor. It uses OE caliper, just moves the caliper out, and it makes a big difference in rear leverage. Then when we did that, then the brake temperatures went from like the 500 range up into the 800 range, which meant we're using more rear brake. Now, one step further, when we went to full-on race brakes on the back, then all of a sudden the temperatures went right up to like 1,000, 1,100 degrees. So it kind of, there's a lot of variables in what the delta is, and it's really not about the delta, it's about the brake temperature itself. But anyway, temperature, the delta, it depends. If you got a stock rear suspension and a stock rotor, it's going to be pretty wide. If you got to a bigger rotor, it's going to narrow. If you go to a rear grip kit, it's going to narrow even more. And if you go to a full-on race brake, it'll narrow even more. And one thing I throw in here with the Mustangs and the 8.8 rear axle, it's definitely not recommended to put a big brake kit on the back without modifying the rear axle. And the reason being is that it's got it's called a C-clip, which means the axles go in, they're held in place with little C-clips. But because of that, there's a little bit of axle movement, not a lot, but just a little. And if you were to put like a big brake kit on there, the calipers are hard mounted, the rotors are hard mounted, and what happens is you go around corners, the axle will just move in and out a little bit and push the rear brake pads out. And it's called brake knockback. And what happens is next time you go through a little windy bit, next time you go to hit the brakes, brake pedal will go to the floor, and you got to pump it back up because it's knocked the brake pads back. So we've got a couple remedies for that. One of it is putting like 9-inch rear axles on the back, which are firm mounted, they don't move. But you got to be really careful trying to put race brakes on a 8.8 without making adjustments to the C-clips. And you absolutely cannot run C-clip eliminators like drag racing guys do.